The origin of this song is I was sitting in the parking lot of the Goodwill with my brother, and he had on this song Obsessed with Me by Mariah Carey, and he just turned to me and was like, this would make a great song for the marching band. And I just kind of like sat there listening to it, and I was like, you know, you're right. Maybe there's one on J.W. Pepper. So later that night, I went and looked on J.W. Pepper, which is our company that we buy most of our band scores from, and it was not on there. So I was like, well, I've made a couple of things on MuseScore. I'm not super fluent in how to use the technology yet, but I really thought that this would be a good song, and there was no arrangement. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try and make it. I'm gonna try and listen and create the chords and create the melody and create the counter melody and everything like that. First thing I did was I tried to figure out the chords. As you hear in the background of the song, you can hear a brass ensemble playing some chords, and then you can hear Mariah singing on top of it. First off, I do not do chords with multiple instruments. Usually I do chords with just one instrument, so I can see exactly how those chords stack on top of each other and see like how it sounds exactly. Once I got the chords, it was just a repeating melody, so I could just repeat those chords. So it made my life a lot easier. Then I moved on to the high upper woodwind part that you hear. That's what Mariah sings in the beginning. I moved on to the saxophones and the trumpets having the melody. I just listened to the song and I tried to count out each rhythm, being like really subdividing so that I could get each exact beat. Once I figured out what the upper woodwinds, the melody, and the chords were, then I decided I wanted the upper woodwinds to play the same melody throughout. I thought that it sounded a lot better that way rather than the upper woodwinds coming in with the melody. I felt like it was too heavy. I thought that that really helped add to like the halftime feel. Then after that, I worked on the percussion part. I'm not a percussion player, so this is where I had to ask for help. I asked my band teacher, Mr. Gallion, because he's a percussionist, knows a lot more about percussion and a lot more about what they are capable of playing than I do. That's when I asked for help from someone else and really communicated that with him that I needed help. Not only did I ask Gallion for help, but I also asked some of the section leaders of other sections just if the range was okay for them, because while I play a lot of instruments, I am not always sure of what are the limits that they can hit, especially at the end of a game or after the halftime show. The range of a lot of instruments really becomes a lot smaller because they just spent an hour playing straight. I asked a bunch of people like the low brass section leaders, some members of the trumpet section, clarinet section, flute section. I play the saxophone, so I kind of knew what the range of the saxophone was, but I asked about a lot of the other instruments that I wasn't entirely sure on. I wanted to make a song that was easy enough that everyone could play, but hard enough that it still sounded good. After I had pretty much finished the song, I decided to add a stop time where Mariah Carey does her little lick. So stop time is when all of the instruments besides the main melody stops, and then the main melody continues with what they're doing, and then everyone comes back in, and it just adds a lot of emphasis on specific sections. My brother actually had the idea to make everyone play the same melody at the end, and I thought that that really helps build tension. He also said, I really think that it could be more impactful at the end, and so I decided to add quarter notes to the percussion so it really helps build with a crescendo. And finally, at the end, I added a little bit of layering with each of the different instruments. So you have the main melody going, then a couple other instruments come in, repeating it, and then finally everyone ends it at the end. And I thought that that really helped bring a very powerful ending after those quarter notes and eighth notes from everyone. So this took a lot of revisions, but afterwards, I thought it looked really great, and I'm really proud of it. I'm glad that the band was able to play it, and I'm glad people liked it.